Agenda item 8 is consideration of approving resolution number 814, adopting a fee schedule, creating and funding an athletics fund for repairs and improvements at the Mesquite Recreation Center and other Mesquite Athletics and Leisure Service Department venues. Mr. Dangerfield.
Mayor and Council, before we will not be reading 814. We have a presentation by the chair of the committee. But before we get into that, I would like to say last summer, Council asked us to do a cost recovery study for the Department of Athletics and Leisure Services. And in doing so, we had to look at the different buckets of revenue and expenses that we have. We have the rec center, we have the senior center, we have our parks, we have the events that we bring to town, we have the Mesquite Center, we have City League and rec programs, and we have many other things that our department is responsible for. In doing so, we took all of the expenses in those buckets and put them in those buckets. Salaries, a lot of our staff does more than just work at the rec center. We work at the parks. We're responsible for activities at the senior center. And so when we did the cost recovery studies, that's how it was done. I would like to, earlier we honored citizens who have volunteered and given a lot of their time. Last summer also, Council asked that a citizen committee be set up to study the rec center fees. And I'd like to introduce the members of the committee. There was a few that couldn't be here tonight, but I would like to introduce Kathy Busman, who's the chair of the committee. Roseanne Cabri. Charles Williams was the secretary of the committee. Couldn't make it tonight was Kevin Hess and David Bennett, who also served on the committee. This committee met several times. They met four times in a public meeting, also had a town hall meeting, and invited public comment. Tonight before you, staff recommends 3 options: that you approve 814 as presented, that you adopt a certain portion of the fee schedules, or that you do not approve. And also in regards to the fee schedule, this is also going to be talking about creating a fund for repairs and improvements at the Mesquite Rec Center and other leisure services venues. In other words, deferred maintenance program that we can have a fund to dip into. Before I steal any more of Chairwoman Busman's thunder, I'll have her come and do her brief presentation and then entertain questions.
Thank you, Brian. Mayor, City Council. First off, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to serve on this committee. It was a great opportunity, and I really enjoyed participating in this. So we have for you what we put together. Our mission was to provide for health and welfare of the community. Our principles is that it be inclusive, affordable, clean, and safe. Our goal is to have healthy and socially engaged citizens here in Mesquite. What we were tasked with, we were asked to make recommendations to the City Council regarding the fees charged not only at the rec center, but for the field use fees, room rental at Suite 1 at the Mesquite campus, the pavilion rentals, equipment rentals, senior center, annual pass, and cost of outfield fence billboard advertising. And we were asked to make recommendations as to how to fund a capital improvement and repair budget for the rec center and athletic fields. The history of the rates and the fees, we did a lot of work on this, looking at just so we have a clear picture of where we've been and where we hope to go. Our last rate increase for the rec center was in 2003. There were modifications made to the members' fees in 2009. The youth rates were reduced for monthly and annual passes, and in addition, the seniors were moved from an adult to the youth rate. Other pavilion, field, rentals, and fees changed in 2009 also. History of the rates and the fees. In 1999, the rec center opens. The fees were so high, and once they were lowered, the usage just soared. From 2003 to 2013, the total CPI increase was 27%. That's the last time rates were increased. From 2009 to 2013, the total CPI increase is 9%. That's because the recession ended in June of 2009 and began the long recovery process. This was the basis for using 9% as a starting point for potentially increasing rates. We reviewed the history of the rates. We generally applied the 2009 to 2013 CPI rate as a starting point. We rounded the dollars to even dollars. We discussed and evaluated the impact of the new rates on the different fee structures, membership type, and length. We discussed and evaluated the impact of field use fees on local versus non-local users. We discussed the use of the senior center outside of the meal services. The committee decided that a 68% cost recovery factor was acceptable. That was well above the industry standard that Brian had presented to us. We recommend any additional revenue collected from increased rec center and field use fees be used to establish a capital improvement and repair budget. We recommend establishing resident and non-resident rates for the rec center. Residents are defined as those living within Mesquite city limits. Non-residents are defined as those living outside Mesquite city limits. Previously, Clark County had given us an outside agency grant that subsidized anyone living outside of the Mesquite city limits and helped to pay for those fees because they're outside the city limits, you're not contributing to the tax base. If Clark County awards an outside agency grant again, we recommend non-residents be defined as anyone living outside Clark County. We recommend establishing a nonprofit and for-profit fee for the field use prep, pavilion, and equipment rental. We felt it was really important to us that nonprofit organizations that are here in Mesquite, are, the athletes that are here, that we keep this affordable for them. And we're going to define nonprofit as defined by a 501c3 organization. We also recommend a non-refundable use fee for the concession stands. Currently, we charge a refundable deposit. So that doesn't, because we refund it, that doesn't help cover all the water, the electricity, or anything else that we incur as an expense. And we recommend establishing a quarterly and annual membership fee for non-meal use of the senior center. This is meant to help offset some of the costs with the electricity, the water, the coffee that's provided, etc. It's not at all related to having meals there. So this is the recreation center admittance fees and what we're proposing. So, this is a lot of data here, and I don't know that you guys want me to go through every line item. Because it's, it's available online, everyone can see it themselves. And this also goes through it. So for capital funding, we have some new ideas we'd like to put forth, and a lot of this will depend on what, the city decides to do. These are just our suggestions. We currently receive revenues from the LBCA and room tax revenues, and we're looking to see if a portion of those revenues be designated to the rec center and athletic facilities to offset the capital expenses. Because a lot of those events that come here are using those facilities. And events utilizing these facilities are the ones that bring a lot of revenue and economic development to Mesquite. We're suggesting that we develop a sports marketing plan to provide local businesses a vehicle to advertise to visitors coming to Mesquite for sports tournaments and camps. Currently, we have a few signs up in some of the fields, and we're looking at a way of developing a plan that we can sell those spaces, generate extra income, and also help to show people that outside of our area what there's available in Mesquite.